Roads and turnpikes, looking for 3 bullet points. The nation needed good inland roads for travel and for the shipment of goods. Private companies built many turnpikes or toll roads. The fees travelers paid to use those roads helped to pay for construction. Many of the roads had a base of crushed stone. In areas where the land was often muddy, companies built corduroy roads consisting of logs laid side by side like the ridges of corduroy cloth. When Ohio joined the Union in 1803, the new state asked the federal government to build a road to connect it with the East. In 1806, Congress approved funds for the national road to the west, and 5 years later agreed on the route. Because work on the road stopped during the War of 1812, the first section, from Maryland to Western Virginia, did not open until 1818. In later years, the national road reached Ohio and continued on to Vandalia, Illinois. Congress viewed the national road as a military necessity, but did not undertake other road building projects. River travel, 3 more bullet points. River travel had definite advantages over wagon and horse travel. It was far more comfortable than travel over the bumpy roads, and pioneers could load all their goods on river barges if they were heading downstream in the direction of current. River travel had 2 problems, however. The first related to the geography of the eastern United States. Most major rivers in the region flowed in a north-south direction, not east to west, where most people and goods were headed. Second, traveling upstream by barge against the current was extremely difficult and slow. Building the Erie Canal. Thousands of laborers, many of them Irish immigrants, worked on the construction of the 336-mile Erie Canal. Along the canal, they built a series of locks, separate compartments where water levels were raised or lowered. Locks provided a way to raise and lower boats at places where canal levels changed. After more than 2 years of digging, the Erie Canal opened on October 26, 1825. Clinton boarded a barge in Buffalo and journeyed on the canal to Albany. From there, he headed down the Hudson River to New York City. As crowds cheered, the officials poured water from Lake Erie into the Atlantic. The East and Midwest were joined. In its early years, the canal did not allow steamboats because their powerful engines could damage the earthen embankments along the canal. Instead, teams of mules or horses hauled the boats and barges. A 2-horse team pulled a 100-ton barge about 24 miles in one day, astonishingly fast compared to wagon travel. In the 1840s, the canal banks were reinforced to accommodate steam tugboats pulling barges. The success of the Erie Canal led to an explosion in canal building. By 1850, the United States had more than 3,600 miles of canals. Canals lowered the cost of shipping goods. They brought prosperity to the towns along their routes. Perhaps most important, they helped unite the growing country. Think manifest destiny here, westward expansion. Sectionalism grows. When you think of sectionalism, think of section or different parts. Okay? Eventually, we're going to be talking about a split in our country between the North and the South. The era of good feelings did not last long. Regional differences soon came to surface, ending the period of national harmony. Most Americans felt a strong allegiance to the region where they lived. They thought of themselves as Westerners or Southerners or Northerners. This sectionalism, or loyalty to their region, became more intense as differences arose over national policies. The conflict over slavery, for example, had always simmered beneath the surface. Most white Southerners believed in the necessity and value of slavery. Northerners increasingly opposed it. To protect slavery, Southerners stressed the importance of states' rights. Write this down as one of your bullets. States' rights are provided in the Constitution, the 10th Amendment. Southerners believed they had to defend these rights against the federal government infringing on them. The different regions also disagreed on the need for tariffs, a national bank, and internal improvements. We're talking about the Federalists and Anti-Federalists here. Internal improvements were federal, state, and privately funded projects such as canals and roads to develop the nation's transportation system. 3 powerful voices emerged in Congress in the early 1800s as spokespersons for their regions: John C. Calhoun, Daniel Webster, and Henry Clay. I'll give you a little hint for your notes if you need a third bullet point. The North wanted to be connected. They wanted transportation, roads, rails, and canals. The South didn't, too focused on slavery and making money from cotton.